Hey everybody, it's week 13, this is CIT 12, and this week we're talking all about what's going on inside of the machine, the theory behind it, binary, instructions, and computer programming. Now, computer programming is a fairly big topic, all right? Last week we talked about networking, which is one big career path for people who are interested in technology. Another big career path is actually software development or computer programming. There is a huge demand for computer programmers. If you look at any of the employment statistics, it's only shown that it's only predicted to grow in the coming decade, and quite frankly, they get paid very well. Our chapter, however, is not so much on computer programming as it is just on some of the theory stuff that would lead to computer programming, binary, things like that. How does the actual instruction cycle work in a processor? It's a little bit of a heady topic, but it's actually not a full chapter. It's actually just a small section after chapter 7. It's one of those technology and focus sections that we've had before. So it's a little bit more technical and kind of complicated, but it's not very long. And so I'm hoping your quiz won't actually take you very long. Plus, like most of the other technology and focus quizzes, half the questions are going to be true and false. So it should be a little bit of a faster process to take the quiz, despite the fact that it's a little bit more technical in nature. The lecture, though, is entirely on programming. I take those concepts and I say, hey, let's look at programming, how we actually write instructions for that processor and its instruction set and its instruction cycles. And how do we actually use that binary to get the computer to do what we want it to do? And I take it at a really high level approach, all right? This is not a computer programming class by any stretch of the imagination, but what I want to do is at least expose you to those ideas. Because quite frankly, computer programming is such a great career path, and it's something that's really, really needed. I can remember, I happened to be lucky to go to Manchester here in Fresno. In elementary school, and back when I went to Manchester, I have no idea what they have now, but they had a classroom. It was nothing fancy. It was filled with TRS-80s, which they used to call them trash 80s. They're a terrible computer out of the 1980s, but you could program in BASIC on those computers. And in elementary school, we got that experience, right? We got to actually once a week go into the computer lab with an instructor and actually learn how to program computers in BASIC. Those lessons early in life really did change my career path. And even though I have a degree in computer science and I've chosen education, which is quite possibly the least profitable thing you can do with a computer science degree, it's what I wanted to do from the beginning. And I've never had a problem finding jobs, right? Like, I just happen to have a skill that's really, really in demand. And that's something that, I wish everybody could have. It's something where if you are interested, if you think you could be interested, pursue it, try it. Because you may find out that it's like, you know what, I kind of enjoy this and not a lot of other people around me can do it or want to do it. So it can put you in a really unique position. Anyway, that being said, for those that are interested, even though it's a small chapter, read the chapter. And if you feel inspired to try something, if the lecture or chapter sort of moves you to say, hey, maybe I should take a programming class, do it. Try it. It may just change your whole career path. To support that, your discussion this week, after you take the quiz, is going to be about code.org. Code.org is a group of people that have gotten together who really want every school child in America to have that same experience that I had. To learn computer programming in school. This is a skill that most schools don't teach, and I don't know why. It is logic, it is math, in some ways it molds the way you think. And it's such a great and useful skill to have, not only for the way you approach, the way you might make an argument in a humanities class, but also it actually provides a practical skill you might actually be able to use. So much of our world is controlled by computers. So much of our world is guided by this code that very few of us can actually read, understand, or create. And there's this entire industry where people are able to create something that has value, right? An app on a phone, which, I teach classes on how to make apps for phones. And all you need is a brilliant idea. Well, I mean, you don't even need a brilliant idea. You just need a fairly good idea. And knowing how to actually write this code, you can take your idea and using a simple text editor, turn it into something that might have value. And maybe it's just kind of an okay idea, right? It's not going to change anybody's life. It's a slightly fun game, or it's an app that maybe makes something that you already do a little bit easier. But if it's worth 99 cents to enough people, you can make a lot of money. And so anyway, ignoring all that, computer programming is just a really valuable skill. And it's something that we probably should teach. And so there's a video in the week 13 folder that I'd like you to take a look at. It sort of explores the problem and what code.org is proposing. And then I want you to visit the site, code.org, and click the Learn tab. Under the Learn tab, you'll see a whole bunch of free resources that you can use. Some are geared towards children, some are geared towards high school students and college students, or even professionals. Code Academy is one of my favorites, and you'll find it there under the Learn tab. Code Academy is used by people who actually are already computer programmers and maybe just want to learn really quickly a new language. It's a great interactive way to learn computer programming, to get a good head start before you actually maybe begin a class. And so anyway, I want you to go to code.org, check out some of those tools under Learn. If you play around with the ones that are meant for kids, that's perfectly okay. I'm not going to judge you. I just want you to get some experience with it, kind of see it, and then write your post. Do you think this is something we should teach to every single student in America? Is it valuable to you? Or do you think that, no, actually, we don't need this? Whatever your thoughts are, go ahead and post them in this week's folder. Also, maybe write, how interested are you in this? I know that students have to enter college at this point with an educational plan, but those educational plans are not written in stone, and you can change them. And so if you do sort of feel an inkling towards something else, maybe talk to your counselor about it. See about making a switch. Regardless, tell us what your thoughts are about computer programming, the industry, whether or not we should be teaching it to students, and how interested you are in computer programming. And then lastly, as always, we've got our My IT Lab. My IT Lab this week is PowerPoint Part 3. It feels like we just finished Excel, but I think that's partially because a lot of people took a little bit longer with Excel and did their practical 1 week late. So we'll sort of see. We're scheduled to do the PowerPoint practical next week. Hopefully people have felt better about PowerPoint. I'm kind of looking at the progress, and it seems like the median student is on pace, so we should still be on pace to do the PowerPoint practical next week. But regardless, this week it's Chapter 3, and you'll still have your 1 week late period, so you can just keep rolling that down. Point being, PowerPoint Lab 3, our last lab in PowerPoint, gets into some of the minutia. PowerPoint is one of those weird things where, and this is a taste thing, right? So some of what you're learning is stuff about animations, sound effects, which when you actually see them in people's PowerPoint presentations, generally are terrible. Nobody is impressed by the jingly bells or the little animation of, oh, hey, look, the title is bouncing onto the slide. Isn't that cute? Like, if you're at a hospital and you're trying to learn, whatever you need to learn for this annual thing, training, they just want the CPR techniques, right? That's all they care about. And so being simple, being tasteful, that's generally the best way to go. Anyway, point being, take a look at PowerPoint. There are some tools that are kind of deep that actually are very helpful. Things like master slides, which will allow you to make a change on one slide, and then, because a lot of people need to have branding for your business on every single slide, and so you can do that in a master slide and it'll just appear on every slide. It's actually quite useful. Anyway, check out PowerPoint Lab 3 in PowerPoint, and next week we'll do the practical. Yeah, and so fairly standard week. If you have any questions, you know where to get a hold of me, and hopefully we are approaching the end of the semester, so we've just got November, which is a little bit of a weird month. In fact, this week we've got Veterans Day, so hopefully some of you take some time on Wednesday to remember our veterans and possibly go to the parade downtown. And yeah, we'll see. Then we've got Thanksgiving that comes up, and then we're right at the very end of the semester. So it's a little bit of a weird month, but hopefully we'll be done with a lot of the heavy stuff before we get to the end, and that'll make the end a little bit easier. All right. Have a great week. If you have any questions, email me, and I'll see you online.